In reality, they appear in independent landing points, often related to some of the longest navigable rivers. These related to certain well-known, most wide-ranging ocean current systems as the westward-bound Pacific currents and the even wider America to Africa expansion, and again associate and present similarities with the Americas. This rather than with their neighboring groups. Further, there also were a number of very early fossil discoveries. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, prominent discoveries like Java Man in Indonesia, 1891, and Peking Man in China, 1921. In population genetics, the Surui and Kurishana Amazon Native American people are frequently utilized as a foundational reference Native American population. This because genetic studies have shown that the Surui and Kurishana exhibit strikingly low genetic diversity and unique allelic frequencies compared to African and European populations. Because of this genetic distinctiveness, researchers should recognize the Surui and Kurishana markers as a clear proof that they are the ancestors of all humans. Further confirmation of South American origin comes from the even by consensus recognized fact that South America was populated before North America. Again, further confirmation also comes from clear and enigmatic archaeological sites and megaliths on the South American origin side, as well as on the European and African landing side. In both cases, this is about ocean and sea facades. On your screen, arches and sea arches in Piauí and Serra in Brazil in South America, and sea arches east of the Atlantic Ocean currents in Morocco and Africa. The sea arches on the Atlantic coast of Europe are some of the most impressive. They would appear after the enigmatic crossings of the Atlantic from the Americas to West Eurasia. This through the to Europe-bounded Atlantic current systems. The sea arches on the Pacific coasts of Asia also are some of the most impressive. They would appear after the enigmatic crossings of the Pacific from the Americas to East Asia. This through the to Asia-bounded Pacific gyres. These sea arches, plus inland arches, on the opposite sides of the main ocean currents and expansion systems, all departing from the Americas to the rest of the world. By means of to these arches related rock paintings, we will illustrate what these arches represented for the ancient expanding and navigating modern humans. We claim these rock paintings and inscriptions represented signs, with detailed info regarding ships, ports, and navigation, as well as activities before and during ocean crossings. More importantly, all these elements are present and similar on the opposite sides of the Atlantic as well as Pacific Ocean current systems and transoceanic expansion systems. On your screen, we illustrate some of the to this spreading from the Americas towards Asia, Middle East, and Africa associated genetic groups. We illustrate on your screen by showing the heat map of the Surui and Kurishana mitochondrial haplogroup. This illustrates what scientists already prove, which is that the South American ancestors populated first South and next North America. Next they populated Asia, this so across and west of North America, more specifically Alaska. We illustrate this on your screen by showing the heat map of the next to the Surui and Kurishana mitochondrial haplogroups. We also show the American origin, plus the migrations to the rest of the world, on your screen by showing the frequency map of the ancestral blood group O, which is 100% in South America and with a gradient towards North America. The similarity between Native Americans is once again shown by the higher frequencies of the ancestral blood group O, this on arrival in Europe in the Atlantic facades countries. The same for the Atlantic facades and the Austronesian expansion facades in Africa. The same for the Pacific facade islands and countries. We call or coin the Surui and Kurishana because they are the ancestors, hence the oldest modern humans. and they clearly behave as absolute ancestors and as origin because they spread across all continents and over the whole world. Also, their ancient DNA markers appear in an impressive number of actual consumer DNA tests across the world, this including in Europe. Further, it is generally known there never had been Neanderthals in sub-Saharan Africa. Obviously, this is a clear and enormous red flag for all the dogmatically assumed, but already improbable African origin narratives. Even worse for consensus. All Neanderthals carried the so-called mitochondrial DNA. This already hundreds of thousands of years before mitochondrial Eve. This, well, it must have originated from their common ancestor, which provingly was modern human, as is superficially shown and explained on your screen. Mitochondrial Eve DNA. That consensus needs to explain never was in Africa, and consequently never came out of Africa. This while the Neanderthals provingly were in the Americas hundreds of thousands of years before the so-called out of Africa, and also the original mitochondrial Eve had been in the Americas even before. Further, this original mitochondrial Eve had a series of ancestors before her, also exactly in the Americas. This mitochondrial ABCD and probably even EFGHIJK. That would most probably bring us back at least 2 million of years, which should be logical seeing that the sister groups like certainly the Denisovan, but probably even more so the 2 million years old Homo erectus, came long before the Neanderthals on the spreading of all of them out of the Americas. Further, the Denisovans, as well as the pre-Neanderthal, had mitochondrial DNA ancestral to mitochondrial Eve. Scientific consensus widely agrees that the Americas were populated by multiple waves of migration, rather than a single event. Again, this leaves only one conclusion, that the Americas are the origin of all humans. Our claims and evidence obviously completely rewrite human history altogether, but especially the indigenous history. The Amazon Amerindians literally play a pivotal role as the ancestors of all humans and also as proven masters of sustainability, resistance, and existence. On your screen, evidence that mitochondrial Eve DNA never left Africa but instead left the Americas, heading to the rest of the world. So, African origin never existed. Modern humans spread along and with ocean currents, and never over land, nor over Beringia. This short video is also insufficient to fully prove that Neanderthals are ancient American hybrids and never interbred with Africans, but that instead the high Neanderthal as well as Denisovan percentage was brought to Eurasia automatically during the population turnover events, simply as already in the American origin present high percentages of Neanderthal plus Denisovan DNA. There are over 100 proofs for American origin, while there is no proof for African origin. At the same time, there are over 100 proofs against consensus and out of Africa, while there is no proof against American origin.